All right, now we're going to cover measures 5 through 8 of section A. The chords are G minor 7 for one measure, G flat 7 flat 5 for one measure, F major 7 for one measure, and then you have the G flat or F sharp 7 flat 5 with the little stab. And that's in the first ending, right? Well, we've already covered the F major 7 and the minor 7 that we've already talked earlier on about what you have to do. You're on the G7 in measures 3 and 4, so all you have to do is flat the third. That gives you your G minor 7. Then you're going to go to the G flat 7. So it's the same shape you used for the G. You just come down a fret, and then your F major 7. Here's a good fingering. You were on the G7, so you might try this. Use your fourth finger as a guide. Come down one fret. Then come down with your second and your third fingers. You'll be on the G minor 7. Then all you have to do is just drop those two voices. Now, in terms of the voice leading, I want you to be aware that you're playing three voices. The highest voice is always the third. That's on the third string, coincidentally. The second voice is on the fourth string. That's your seventh or your flat 7, right? And then your root is on the sixth string. That's the third voice. So we number them from the highest in pitch to the lowest. Well, I think you agree that things can get a little muddy. Let's go ahead and play through this. You want to get a handle on this first, where you're just playing over these changes. One more time. Let's play it without the bass note. Cleans it up considerably. So, we've been talking about this issue of clarity. I want you to go back to the guide tone layouts charts, diagrams. Look at diagram A through, let's go through diagram C, because you'll see that those are all in the areas that we've been talking about for your major 7, your 7th, and your minor 7 chords. Now, our first chord in this section was the G minor 7. So look at diagram C. You were playing that G minor 7 with the root on the 6th string, then you had the flatted 3rd and the flatted 7th. You can clearly see that in diagram C. Now, the guide tones, the 3rds and the 7ths, form an interval. It'll always be the same, depending upon what scale degrees they are. So anytime you have a flat 7 and a flat 3, the interval between them will be a perfect fourth. That's if you're thinking in terms of from the lowest to the highest note. So that means the same thing occurs, as you can see in diagram C, up an octave. This structure forms a power chord. In terms of if we thought of the B flat as the root, we have a nice B flat power chord. Look back at diagram A. It's down a fret. So if I play all that together, that's an F major 7. And if I move up, do you see in diagram C, there's a big G minor 7. No 5, but I've got the root, then I got flat 3, flat 7, flat 7, flat 3, right across. Well, flat 7, flat 3. All right, so my reason for you seeing this now is that we can get some variation in where you play those guide tones. You were playing here over measures 5 through 8. So your first chord was G minor 7. You were playing down here. What if you want to go... You notice how we don't have this mud issue as much. It's a little cleaner because I'm not down here. You have to know where to play these guide tones throughout the register. So I'm going to prepare you for measures 5 through 9 right now. Go ahead and bar in the 3rd fret. And your 4th finger will be over here on this F, the flatted 7th on the 2nd string, 6th fret. You'll play the 6th string, that's your root, and then you'll play the 3rd and the 2nd strings. So those are the string groups that you're going to stay on. Okay? What's our next chord in measure 6? We have a G flat 7, flat 5. Go down one fret. That would make it a G flat minor 7, but we need to have a natural 3rd in there. Look at diagram B. You will see that that comes right out of that group, because you originally had the guide tones right there and the bass note on the 6th string. If we play the octaves of those guide tones, there's your E, here's your A sharp. So you see if we put all that together, that's diagram B. So if I just look at these top 4 strings, I have... let's play against a track just using those. Now, some of those high notes aren't really fitting in too well. They pop out too much. But at least now you have the mapping on the fingerboard. So if we play the second, third, and sixth strings, you've got a nice little comp going on. There is an issue here. The keyboards that I wrote in here have other notes. They have sixths and ninths and things like that going on, because actually I've got a sixth taking place on that F sharp. So here's a perfect example of why you need to know where to play to stay out of the way. If you're going to play along with this track, and by the way, these tracks you have with and without the keyboards. We're going to get into playing along without the keyboards because it frees you up tremendously. But here's where you're in a little bit of a box. It sounded okay to play here, but you had a clash because you had this going on. You're playing this E, the keyboards are playing the D sharp. So you hear that, you say, well, that's not a good place to play. Even though it's possible and it's there, I need to know how to play around what's going on. So it's all right on the G minor 7, the way this track plays, here. Okay, so this is a very important thing. Practice playing these structures with and without the bass notes. Let's play along. All right, we're going to tackle more areas on the fingerboard because we're still down the low end of the fingerboard. In our next track, we're going to take the entire section A and look at some more options on the table.